All right, everyone, welcome. This is Trader Genius. My name's Steven, and we've got Alan on the line. How are you doing, Alan?
Doing great. And you?
Very, very good. Thanks for asking. So, we're going to talk about Genius Mode, and we're going to do this and give you all the information that you need, and we're going to have some fun while we're doing it. So, Alan, if you don't mind kicking it off, what is Genius Mode?
At its heart, it's a convenience. So you're actually figuring out, uh, the best stocks to use a trading plan for, and it's education. So you get to see all of it, and it's pretty comprehensive in the sense that you get to play with a trading plan with all the stocks over all the years, and you become a much better trader.
Yeah, and that one of the biggest things for me is that this is a great way to see risk in a real actionable,
Mm.
really succinct, simple system, and you get to actually have that variable projected consistently. That's very, very important. So, how did it actually come to be?
Oh man, we're gonna sit over dinner and talk about that one day because that's just a long conversation. The short version is sheer willpower. I'll say it, where I need something that will help me find ideally 40% annualized returns in a year, right? As an investment, that was the ideal. But I'd be if I could just find stocks that are earning or growing in value by 10% a year because of compounding. uh, 10% is good, even in bad years, to avoid bad stocks or bad markets. That it would just do all that kind of stuff and help me figure that out.
Yeah, well, that's a fantastic return. And is that something that you started this out as trying to do, or is it something that you discovered along the way?
I could beat, yeah, if I could beat like 40% or even get 40%, that would be amazing. Unheard of, rare thing. And that was, but what I discovered was that that's where we switched up to ultimately day trading as the place to solve all our problems or to encounter the hardest problems. Is like, well, we're talking about making 4% in 4 minutes. Like, whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if you could do, yeah, if you can do 4% in a day, um, then you're totally beating the goal of 40%. So that was a huge surprise. I didn't expect that I would go down the path of options, and that was to solve or to figure out how to solve the hardest problems. So then we backed out of the, we still have the day trader, but it was like, well, now let's go back, take what we know, and solve the relatively easier problems called, holding something for weeks or months or maybe even years, and making good money and identifying it before it happens with a low risk grading system.
You know, it's really easy. And it sounds really cool to hear you talk about it right now because you've got the solution in, and it's actually exists now, and it's a really massive accomplishment for you. Was it always this easy for you to figure it out?
Oh God, no. There was times I felt like quitting. Back I remember in 2012, I was working on this, but it was actually even a couple months back where I was thinking, I don't know if I can actually do this. Yeah, we did it in day trading, but I was seriously looking. I remember the moment I was thinking, I don't know if I can actually do this. In which case, I just have all these promises and hopes and sitting out there, and I'm not going to hit that. That's a problem.
Yeah,
I just wasted 10 years working on something. That's what I was worried about. I was like, oh my God.
I'm sure that was not a very fun moment.
No,
Yeah,
no.
we're very happy that you stuck with it. And from the observer standpoint, there's a lot of people that have heard about this project, and their expectations are, well, hey, you know what? Where is it? Where is this thing? And be like, wait, hold on. Let's take a step back and let's realize how crazy it is that this is actually a project that you are doing, and then how crazy it is that it was actually solved. Well, thank you very much from me and from the rest of the community, because without this hard work and dedication and you pushing through those barriers, well, we would still be
Doing it the old way, that's all.
we'd be doing it the improved way with the system, but now, ladies and gentlemen, you're about to see how much better it is. So let's talk about what you actually found and how it works. Right now, we have the master list up, and
Yep.
you'll notice that there are some new symbols here, like a diamond, a sapphire, a star, and this kind of Greek leaf. What is that thing called? What is it?
I used the Caesar's wreath, which is that gold thing, and just put a little banner tag on it so that it's easier to find on the white.
Perfect. So we have a bunch of these. Go ahead.
Yeah, what it means in that case is that that particular stock is one of the best rates of return.
Absolutely. And each one of these things, they mean something. So we're going to go through this really quickly so you kind of have a general idea of how the system works. Now, first, before we get started with anything, you should understand that these are not recommendations. They never will be. We don't deal with that realm of things. What this is a tool that was tested like crazy. And listen to the longer version of this, and you'll find out how much went into this. But it shows you where risk is the lowest as far as we can tell. And that's very important information for us. So these things are present when risk is low. You'll also notice highlights on the top, and then if I turn on STG, on the bottom. So you can choose to have one of them on or both of them on. It's your choice, whichever one you have access to or you're using. So simple, you just do that, click it on, click it off. The diamond is for STG. Now let's go ahead and start with STG if you don't mind. And let's talk about the column right here and how to actually use it and what we're looking at.
Sure. Well, let's pick up the column picker, if you don't mind loading that up. And so if you have STG, you can see beyond the standard data, you've got those columns, and each of those gives you information that you can display or not display. And so that means you can actually sort by it on your list. And that's the more useful part about that is, yeah, the information is good, but if you want to sort, say, hey, which one of these has the top annual gains? Well, if you've got it there, you can just, click on it and it'll remember that it's that way. But the idea is that you have all the information, and you can then make a watch list out of that and say, well, I actually want to trade these things. So you use that little heart symbol up there and you say, well, I want to add it to which watch list, and you click that and you hit OK, and it's now on that other list. And then you can add all those columns that you want on that other list so that it's focused around a task that you have. And so now we're just going to use the ones that you have showing there.
Okay, so right here, as you guys can see, the current one that we're discussing right now is this diamond. And the diamond is associated with Stock Trader Genius signal being on or off, and that's it. So what do we do? What is this annualized thing versus compounded, and how should someone read this?
Yeah, annualized, it just means for however long you were in a trade. If you were in that, if it behaved that way for a whole year, what would your profit be? So it says annualized 26%, and these numbers are updated every day. So you don't know how long you've been in that trade just by looking at that one number. You can look at the chart, and you can look at some history, and you can say, yeah, okay. But that is the rate of return, the speed of the money coming to you, if you will. You don't want to look at something that is a low annualized return because your wealth velocity is low. You're not making much money. You're not growing your base well. And so that's where that star with the yellow tag behind it, background, that tells you that those are the better stocks. That's an instant one that says it's above 10% per year annualized. And yeah, you can even sort by that if you want, but why don't you just put the annualized percent and look at that? But annualized, you may only be in it for a week or two. And that's the difference between compounding and annualized. Is annualized could be low or high, and compounding could be low or high. So what you're really looking for is you're looking for good numbers on both. And so, yes, you're in a trade. Those other numbers in there, this is rating is 5. The ratings go from 0 to 7. 7 means that there's been only 2 trades that the system has put on, and it doesn't know what to rate it as. So it says, hey, it's unrated. I don't know. How does this thing behave? But after that, then the rating starts to go between 1 and 7. Like the other ratings we have is a 1 to 7 base. So 7 is the best, and yes, the ratings will change a little bit, but generally the best stocks to lowest risk are rated 5 and 6. So in this particular case, you've got a stock that is active. So it says active on the side, and that trade is active. So it's just telling you again, like the diamond tells you that it's an active trade for the STG, Stock Trader Genius. But what's it doing? Well, the signal came on January 28th at that price. You're still holding it, and you've got a stop loss of $116.16. You're right now, as of the close of the most recent day, you're sitting on a profit of 25.5%. So as the prices move up and down, that will be updated. Now you're looking at a monthly chart on the bottom, so it's easy to see the length of the trade. So if you're up 25% and it's taken you how many weeks to get there? You've been there since almost the beginning of the year. That's a pretty good rate of return. That's why it says 26.2 is because it's making good money. And so
it's not only making good money, the useful bit of that too is, we're traders. It's great. Oh, I made 20%. How long did it take you? And that's what annualized is all about. It's about saying, look, there's a short period of time where this thing made a really, really good profit. And we want more of those and less of the ones that take longer to develop from a stock trading perspective.
And that annualized is for all the trades that have happened for this stock. So there's actually a column in the column picker that will tell you the number of trades. So let's go to the column picker, and how many trades has this been in? Now there's a chart that tells you, but see number STG trades. You put that on, and then it gets added to the last column, and you gotta just push that around a little bit, and it'll be there. So T. So I guess it resorted or something.
Hold on, let me pull it up again. MST. Bada bing. Okay.
So it's been in 20 trades, 20 STG trades. So out of those 20 trades, it's had an annualized rate of return of 26%. Well, it's been trading that thing for how many years? Many years. So 26% on something that you trade for almost 30 years has a compounded rate of return. And that's where the power money, you take your profit and okay, you made 20% on your first trade, for example. And then you say, okay, great. I'm going to take that. Like I had $100 just for simplicity. Now I have 120. I'm going to put $120 into a trade. And then that 120, if it has another 20% gain, well, now you have 144. You don't have 140, you have 144. And that's where the compounding, there's people that call it the magic of compounding. It's really quite remarkable. Is that, annualized is whatever. It's, you want a good number, but the compounding is where, you started out with 1, and now you've got 23 times more the money, not 23%, 23 times more money. If you would have just followed a trading plan, doesn't have to be this one, but it followed a trading plan.
Yes, and the math is very simple. You just take what you make and you're using it as more leverage when you're trading. And that's how it's accomplished in such a short period of time. You can have very, very large gains.
Yeah, and that's why I decided to go my path instead of be a guy that sells mutual funds, because your compounded rate of return, and that's where we're going to talk now about investing. the investment genius versus the stock trader. On some stocks, a lot of stocks, it's actually better to get in and get out and get in and get out than it is to hold on. Because if you're getting in and getting out, you're making more money than just holding the thing. Because what happens is if you just hung on to the thing, like let's say that the stock went up 200%, you go, okay, good money. I doubled my money. But if you got out after a top and then you bought back in after a bottom, and you did that a bunch of times, and for example, you did 5 trades and each trade made 20%, you think, well, that's not the same as holding on for 200%. When you do the compounding on that, you find out you made significantly more. But when you compound over bigger times, bigger numbers, that's where compounding is amazing. And that's why that was, for me, a bit of a surprise of just how good this was. I mean, I knew, the rule of 72, for those that like that kind of math thing, is awesome. But anyways, compounding is amazing. So the investment side, it follows a very similar style. There's not a lot of numbers to learn here. Annualized is annualized. Compounded is compounded. The rating numbers will be there. When you got in and when you got, the only difference between the investment, other than it looks at things different and it has a different trading plan that is a good trading plan, that trading plan will get out of half when the stock looks weak. It has more tolerance for flutter, because if you're an investor, you're not going to just jump out on a small loss. You're going to hang on, and yeah, right there where that yellow tag is, it's like, well, it's showing a little bit of weakness. Weakness is risk, so you took half the money out and did what with it? You put it somewhere else. That's the idea. And so these gains and compounds include the fact that you took your money out and put half of it somewhere else. So it's a net compounding and a net gain, even though you took half your money out. So here's another stock, NVIDIA, different rate of gains and compounding. But you can see that the compounding is less than the gains. Well, that's because in the early part, there were some losses. So you're compounding, well, if you had $100 and then it's down to 80, well, even if you made 20% back, you're not at $100 anymore. You're at like $96. So you're below, and you have a few more losses. Well, your I guess pocket or budget or whatever you call that for that one stock is getting smaller and smaller. So it's harder to come back to a gain. And that's why beyond this tool, you have to apply a little bit of thinking, not much, a little bit, that says, hey, what's going on? Well, NVIDIA is really taking off. You'll hear about these things. This is just like in that book, The Prophet in Pajamas, is that there's like news that gives you the clues that says, hey, I should be, paying attention to these particular stocks. Well, rather than to figure out your own trading plan, you can just follow along this trading plan if you want.
Right. And it really highlights the importance of the human is never going to be replaced here, because you're always going to need to make your own decision. And some of these stocks are appropriate for investing, and some of them are appropriate for trading. And this gives you a good idea. Like if you just wanted to really simply look at the difference between Microsoft right here, and you say, all right, what's the difference between which is it performing better as an investment or as a trading stock? You have that information at your fingertips. And that's something I personally love about this tool, is saying, well, maybe, historically it's actually performed better as an investment. So that means maybe that the ups and downs are going to happen a little bit more abrupt on this stock. But there's a lot of potential for profit on trading. Some of them, it's going to be a little bit more obvious than the others, but that's why we publish all the information. So you can make your own decision here.
Yeah, I was really happy that we decided to ship everything. And some people will say, hey, that didn't do that well. That's exactly right. That's actually why we have a rating system. And this is where you get to say, hey, I shouldn't be trading or investing in this particular stock. Exactly. So we're not like a newsletter that say, well, we think these 5 or 10 things ought to do well for you. It's like, no, here's everything. And you can pick through what you like. It's like, well, I like Nike because I think they got some new kind of self-lacing runners that are going to be a super hit. Well, fine. Here's the data. Here's the trading plan. Visually, so you can see it. And you go, well, what do I do with that? Well,
There you go. Look it up right here. You like self-lacing shoes? Look at the information that's relevant and keep it consistent. That's all you got to do. Okay. So again, diamonds, these things, and the sapphires, they mean the signal is on currently. And you can see the word active right here. And you can put this stuff on your chart if you want. You can take it off by just clicking it on or off. It's really, really customizable here. And then make sure you're checking across the board these other things like the growth rating, investing. Now remember, 7 is the highest it goes and -7 is the lowest it goes. Guys, we're options traders too. We're not afraid of going down. We actually kind of like the downside. So keep that in mind, that these ratings are for up and for down, not good and bad. Okay. So again, the star right here, that means it's one of the best stocks for stock trading, and this one means one of the best stocks for investing. And the signal on or off, you know what to do with that. Last thing here is, remember, this is not a recommendation. This is a consistent assessment of risk, and that's it. The rest is up to you. Okay, Alan, is there anything else that you want to add here before we head out?
Nope, that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I just got to tell you, from the entire community and whoever gets their hands on this thing, thank you very much, because this is by far the best thing that has come out of this program so far, and it's going to change a lot of lives. This thing, guys, when you see it and you touch it, you'll see what I mean. It's already enhanced my trading tenfold. I can't even, it's just the right stuff. So you'll see it coming soon. Thanks again, Alan.